Wales in meltdown as temperatures soar. The extraordinary weather is being labelled a heat emergency, sending travel plans into chaos and closing hundreds of schools.
Marcus Hunley, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder.
6 people are jailed for a total of 150 years for the murder of a woman who was an innocent victim in a drug war.
This case is a stark and sobering reminder of the devastating impact of serious and organised crime.
Could this world-first MRI technology revolutionise the fight against one of our most common cancers?
And the heatwave is pretty unbearable for us human beings. So how difficult is it if you happen to be a flamingo or a sea lion or, for that matter, a penguin? Join us as we possibly attempt to interview a penguin.
Hello, good evening to you. Hundreds of schools and businesses across the country have shut their doors today as Wales battles sweltering temperatures. It comes as health bosses declare a heat emergency with a rare red weather warning set to stay in place for much of South Wales into tomorrow. Tonight, we are live across the country as we bring you all the latest amid widespread disruption, with people urged to travel only if absolutely necessary. But first, here's Megan Boot with how Wales has been trying to cope in the heat.
It's a heat you can almost see, a sizzling on the skyline, impacting outside and in.
You want to do that well done, Noah.
For this nursery in Newport, they're having to close early because it's just too hot.
So Chloe and Blake, how are you finding the heat?
Struggling. It's been very hot, hasn't it? Very hot, yeah. I've had to take half day from work today to accommodate, and then my partner yesterday had to finish early, so slightly inconvenient, but needs must.
I can imagine other countries have this kind of thing prepared, but unfortunately we just don't. We don't have a lot of sun, so I think this is a very rare occasion, but when it happens, it's pretty intense.
This is where the babies would normally sleep, but they can't be in here today. Just look at that temperature.
Children under 5 typically can't regulate their body temperatures as we can as adults, and we didn't feel comfortable putting children to sleep in unsafe environments, despite the best measures that we could put in place. A red weather warning is key. It does say it's risk to life and disruption. We've tried to minimise that as much as possible for parents, knowing that we provide a service to support working families. In this instance, we just felt that we weren't going to compromise the children's safety.
This morning in Cardiff, it was 29 degrees by 8 a.m, but there was kindness beyond measure.
Yeah, it's really, really hard work. Like I said, the heat don't help. Look at the state of me, I'm soaking wet. But like I said, the general public are great. They do fantastic for us.
We've been shown so much kindness, and I mean, it's not just from Ely. We do Ely, Grangetown, Splot and Lanarkshire. They're constantly giving us drinks, constantly asking about our welfare. It's really appreciated.
Well, the heat is affecting everyone's daily life, from what they do to what they wear. But for some people, it can be a real risk to their health.
So during extreme heat, we see an increase in demand on the emergency department and other parts of the hospital. We see conditions ranging from sunburn and dehydration to more serious conditions such as heat stroke. And we also see an increase in other conditions such as stroke, heart attacks and other respiratory and cardiovascular related problems.
At the moment, we experience around 3 heat waves a year, but that's expected to more than double by 2050, costing thousands of lives.
Each year there are about 2,000 deaths because of the excess heat, and that we call them excess deaths essentially because of those heat waves. So we do need to make sure that people are prepared. So everything they can do at home, staying inside between 11 and 3, making sure that they're drinking regularly. These are all really important things. Making sure you're not going out for a run at the very peak of the day, even if you feel fantastic. It's all helping to support the NHS and keeping our whole population safe.
The heat will be here until Thursday night as we continue to walk more dangerous weather. Megan Boot, ITV News.
Well, there is an overview, and rail services have been impacted by the increased hot weather, with a reduced operation in place across the network. Our reporter Gwen-Anne Campbell is at Cardiff Central for us this evening. Gwen-Anne, what is the latest with you?
Well, Andrea, it's gone 6 o'clock and it's still very, very warm. But as you can see, we have managed to hide ourselves away in the shade to bring you this update. But as you mentioned, this weather has caused disruption across the railway lines today, with trains all across the country being delayed or cancelled because of this extreme heat, including here at Cardiff Central Station. Now, our trains aren't designed to cope with this kind of weather, and high temperatures can cause all sorts of problems to the tracks and the overhead wires. And because of that, networks are having to operate at a reduced capacity. Now, Transport for Wales have warned people not to travel during this red weather warning unless it's absolutely necessary. And they've also urged people to check the timetable first and to take time during their journeys. But with a weather warning in place for tomorrow too, we could expect to see even more disruptions as this heat wave continues, Andrea.
Gwen Campbell outside Cardiff Central Station there for us this evening. Thank you. Well, despite the red warning, several large events in Cardiff are still going ahead, among them the gigs at Blackwyre Fields, where The Cure are set to perform in front of 30,000 people. There for us this evening is our Consumer Affairs correspondent, Kate Lewis. Good evening, Kate. Not everybody who has tickets are happy.
No, that's right, Andrea. This is the first concert here at Blackwyre Fields of the year, and it has been somewhat overshadowed and drawn widespread criticism, as many people think, due to this weather, it should have been cancelled. Now, Cardiff Council say they have sought and been given assurances from organisers that they have risk assessed it and made alterations to things. The organisers say those alterations come in the sense of they've added more shaded areas, just a little bit like this tree which I found tonight, which I'm sure people will be welcoming. They're also allowing people to take more water in. They put more water stations in there and have an enhanced welfare team too. But many people feel, who had tickets to go tonight, that is not enough. And actually, this is about looking like putting profit over people's safety. I spoke to one lady earlier on who has a chronic medical condition, and despite being a huge fan of The Cure, she made the decision early on not to come here.
I knew as soon as the weather warnings were coming, it's going to be hot on Wednesday and Thursday. I knew standing that length of time, not allowed to take chairs in, I wouldn't be able to do it. So we put them up for sale. And then obviously now more and more and more on social media and selling pages, there's so many people trying to sell their tickets. And obviously they're not selling now because people are unable to go, it's too hot. So yeah, I think it should be cancelled, definitely.
Well, it hasn't been cancelled. As you can hear, perhaps the music going on there. The Cure expected to take to the stage around 8. Now, lots of these people walking here tonight will no doubt hope the temperatures will drop. But I've looked just as we came on air, and it doesn't look like they're going to drop lower than 30 degrees. Those temperatures are higher than what we would have on average during the daytime in June here in Wales. And the humidity is off the scale too, I can assure you of that, standing here. But look, Lily Allen is also performing over the other side of Cardiff tonight. That is indoors, so there is aircon there. So not so much concern over the people indoors, but still safety concerns over those people travelling here and getting home safely too.
Kate Lewis, thank you. Schools, transport, childcare, all things being affected. Scientists have called this week's extreme heat a sobering reminder about the reality of climate change. Experts warn that scorching temperatures are only set to become more frequent and more intense. And while most of us search for that shade, farmers across the country have had no choice but to face the elements. Hannah Thomas is on a farm for us this evening. Hannah, explain to us what the impact is where you are.
Well, it's important to say from the top, Andrea, that I'm not going to be staying in this heat for very long. But as you can see behind me, James Price here is having to go on the harvest. He's in that tractor baling up. Why now, do you say? Well, because quite simply, this hay is ready and it's like a cake. If you leave it in the oven too long, it will overcook. If I can just show you the state of this hay, look, this is how dry it is. This is how ready it is now for baling. Contrast that to when I was last here live speaking to you in February, when it was so wet that James's little lambs had to put raincoats on to protect them from that wet weather. Now, of course, we've got this. We are searing. It's what they call climate change. Llantoni Priory in melting Monmouthshire. The stream here has completely dried up. But after Storm Claudia 7 months ago, it was a torrent. Now there's no water at all, and we're even standing in it.
It's one extreme to the other. We're going from having so much water, it's completely changing the shape of the land and damaging infrastructure that we've had in place for years, and now it's totally dry. We're looking for water sources elsewhere to help the livestock.
This is what Bryony means about damaging infrastructure. I filmed the landslide on the main road here back in the winter, which cut off the valley for months. So it's gone from very wet to very hot.
We were wearing raincoats and wellies, and probably had been for months, and now we're boiling hot and wishing we had sandals. We're in a world where we're looking for both flood resilience and heat resilience.
In Llantoni Priory shadow, Bryony's sheep are trying to stay cool, but it's not easy. Because it's still only June, many of these sheep still haven't been shorn. So they've come under this tree for cover. And that will be the challenge for farmers with climate change going forward, finding enough shelter for the sheep to have in winter when there are storms and wind and rain, and then finding enough shade for them in summer with this intense heat. Bryony's having to bring water up to them in a tank. But what are Welsh Water going to do to protect our water supply as climate change deepens?
We need to maintain the focus on reducing leakage. We've also invested heavily in our infrastructure to link water supply systems together so that we can move water more flexibly between supply areas, and that investment will continue over the next 5 years.
Residents in Monmouth will be hoping they don't see this again over the next 5 years. It's red for heat today. It was red for rain 7 months ago. But are the Welsh Government doing enough to see Wales change with climate change?
Well, we understand and accept it is a climate emergency. I don't think that's well understood by all political parties in Wales, but we do understand and accept it is a climate and nature emergency. And we're working cross-government to make sure all departments are tackling that in everything that we do.
In Llantoni, Bryony Gittins has no idea when she'll see this stream full of water again. But for now, she does know that this valley is baking in the heat. Well, the Llantoni Valley is in that red weather warning zone, and so is where I am now. If you're wondering how James there and his dad are managing in these tractor cabs, I don't know either, because there is no air conditioning in there. And that is a question we're all going to have to grapple with. Will we need air conditioning in the future in our schools, in our public buildings? If so, who is going to pay for it? How do we fund it? Our homes, how do we keep them cool in future? At the moment, they're designed to keep the heat in and not out. So what do we do with them? These are all adaptations that we're going to have to make as climate change gets worse. You can see the harvest still going on behind me here, Andrea. I just hope they manage to stay cool in the coming hours.
Folks, lots more questions though, doesn't it? Hannah, thanks very much. And perhaps not surprisingly, there's more on the hot weather at 6:30.
Coming up, Britain bakes under extreme heat with the red weather alert extended and hundreds of schools shut in England and Wales. A shocking inquiry finds more than 500 mothers and babies died or suffered harm due to failures in maternity care in Nottingham. And Scotland gears up to face Brazil, but can they secure a win? Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
That's all coming up for you in about 15 minutes' time. To the rest of the day's news here, and 6 people have been sentenced to a total of over 150 years in prison for the murder of a woman who was an innocent victim in a drug war. Joanne Penny was shot in the chest at close range after she opened the door of a flat she was visiting in Talbot Green last year. Gunman Marcus Huntley was jailed for a minimum of 30 years, whilst co-defendant Ronaldo Baptiste, who helped organise the hit from behind bars, was jailed for a minimum of 42 years. Richard Morgan was in court.
Marcus Huntley, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder.
This is the moment that justice caught up with Marcus Huntley. Today he found out he'd be spending 30 years behind bars for shooting an innocent woman. Seen here posing with the murder weapon, Huntley fired the fatal shot at close range. His victim, a much-loved mother, daughter and sister who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Joanne Penny was an innocent victim in a drugs war. She was 40 years old. All she did was open a front door at a friend's house.
Unbeknown to her, that house in Talbot Green had become the focal point in a war between rival drugs gangs. One of them, led by Joshua Gordon, was trying to expand its operations from the Midlands into South Wales. But when this was met with violent opposition from a rival group, Gordon decided on a show of strength. Huntley was dispatched to Talbot Green to shoot someone, anyone, at the house where they'd been prevented from selling drugs. There he was joined by a friend, Jordan Mills-Smith, who was to act as lookout, and another accomplice, Melissa Quayle-Dashper, whose role was to knock at the front door. Gordon remained in the car. Afterwards, Huntley posed for a selfie, striking a gun pose. Today, he and his fellow gang members were sentenced to a total of 157 years. Ronaldo Baptiste, top right, an already convicted murderer who helped coordinate the hit from prison, was given 42 years. Joanne Penny's family was at court to hear police issue this warning to other crime gangs.
If you choose to involve yourself in violence, drugs or the use of firearms in South Wales, we will pursue you relentlessly. We will identify you, disrupt you, dismantle your networks, and we will bring you before the courts to face the full consequences of your actions.
The judge commended the work of South Wales Police in bringing the killers to justice. The murder, he said, was an act of extreme violence motivated ultimately by money. Richard Morgan, ITV News at Cardiff Crown Court.
Elsewhere, a 14-year-old boy remains in police custody on suspicion of murder after a body was found in a park near Ebbw Vale. The discovery was made in Dyffryn Park area of Blaenau at around 10 o'clock on Monday evening. Formal identification has not yet taken place, but the family of Lily, aged 14, who had been reported as missing, has been informed. A spot of football news, and former Wales captain Aaron Ramsey's been named as the next head coach for Oxford United's men's team. He'll arrive at Kazan Stadium following the sacking of Oxford United's previous manager Matt Bloomfield. He briefly managed Cardiff City in an interim role at the end of the 2024 to 2025 season. The former Arsenal midfielder says he wants to bring a culture of high standards, professionalism and work ethic into the role. Next, this evening, Welsh scientists are hoping to revolutionise the diagnosis and treatment of prostate cancer using world-leading MRI technology that's only available in Cardiff. Prostate cancer is the most common type of cancer in men in Wales, but this project, the new technique, is hoping to provide more reliable analysis of tumours. Katja Fowler reports.
The doctors caught the prostate cancer early, and they caught it early because I got tested.
Using his fame and recent experience with prostate cancer to urge others to get themselves checked. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with it in their lifetime, and Marcus is one of them. He knows all too well how invasive the current biopsy is.
When you're told you've got cancer, your whole world changes overnight, and you can't sleep at night, and your whole world is dominated by cancer. Anything that can be done that can simplify the process and make it less scary, I think would be phenomenal.
On your chest for me.
And that's exactly what scientists in Cardiff are hoping to achieve.
So lots of research here is about brain imaging, but we thought, well, could we utilise that technology and use it to scan patients with prostate cancer? We've been able to do that over the last couple of years, and we've shown that we can do it and it's feasible to do.
Are you okay there, John?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Lovely. The next scan's going to be about 4 minutes. You're doing really well.
This MRI technology is one of the only ones in the world that can be used below the neck and would mean there would be fewer biopsy tests needed.
What this MRI scanner project that we're doing here in Kubrick enables us is to have really excellent high sensitivity to small scale tissue structures such as cancer cells. Ultimately, this could be rolled out across the wider NHS in Wales and the UK.
By catching it early, research suggests the illness has a near 100% survival rate.
Projects such as what we funded today will certainly make that difference and ensure that we reduce the burden of cancer on people and their families across Wales.
So for those facing prostate cancer, scientists hope this could make a daunting experience just that bit more manageable. Katia Fowler, ITV News.
Let's hope so. Well, let's return to the top story now. And we've been reporting on the impact of that hot weather on Wales. And it's been no different at the Mountain Zoo in Colwyn Bay. Rob Shelley is there for us this evening. And Rob, just like us humans, keeping those on 4 legs cool and others is also important, isn't it, Rob?
It's bad enough for TV reporters that are, Andrew. Welcome to one of the best, slightly sun-drenched views you'll find anywhere in North Wales. And yes, my Victorian barometer has got a new setting of, are you sure about this, as the heat's gone up? But here we are in the penguin habitat. And, OK, the penguins do have a pool to cool down, and we are currently bribing them with fish. But it goes to show, actually, that you've got so many different species, so many different lives, but a fairly unforgiving temperature. With me, Connor, who is currently being penguin fan #1 with all this fish they're getting. It must be so difficult once a heat wave hits an environment like a zoo.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the penguins here are very lucky. They've got this amazing pool in their habitat that they can swim around in. But we've got animals from like all over the globe with different environmental needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to really plan ahead for these sort of spot weather, you know, extremes.
Well, it must be really weird because obviously you've got some animals from places like equatorial Africa, you've got some animals who are used to extreme snowfall. Are there winners and losers, or are they just used to this being home now?
Well, that's it. So obviously animals in the zoos, they're not from the wild. They're born and raised here in the zoo, so they're acclimatised to our weather. They've always lived in North Wales. So to them, this is still an extreme. They're not used to this level of heat. So yeah, us as keepers, it's our job to make sure that all our animals are as comfortable as possible.
You haven't invented the salmon solera yet, and other ice lollies are also available. But you have been feeding, we've seen some lemurs and sea lions and horses. Horses get brunch ice lollies.
Yep, 100%. We wrap a load of browse together, soak it in water, freeze it, and then that's a nice cooling treat for them.
That is absolute genius.
Yeah.
And of course, as keepers, you know the signatures of all these wonderful lives. You know when they're not doing well, they're suffering a little bit in this.
Oh yeah, most of the time they're very much let you know, but we make sure that it never gets to that point. So we, you know, in the heat, frozen ice treats for all of our animals. And in the cold, we make sure that they're nice and kept nice and warm. So we make sure that it never ever gets to that point.
Connor, with the happy penguins of the Welsh Mountain Zoo, I've actually seen what happens when penguins get a little bit angry, actually. You do not want to mess with your average penguin. But from us and these boys and girls keeping cool in the pool, it's back to the studio.
I have to give them another special ice lolly. Rob, thank you very much indeed. Well, we've had a lot about the weather, haven't we? Let's get the all-important forecast then with Chris.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Hello there. Very good evening to you. Yes, it's all about the heat and extreme humidity that we're experiencing at the moment, and that story continues as we work into tomorrow. A large amber extreme heat warning covers much of the country, but it's particularly so across the far southeast of Wales, where here a rare red weather warning for extreme heat, where temperatures are likely to reach up to the upper 30s as we work into tomorrow. And that brings impacts not only to our health, and that's those of the fit and healthy, but also to our travel network networks and our infrastructure, which includes our power networks as well. Possibility of seeing some power outages through the next 24 hours. As we work then through this evening and overnight, it's clear skies for most, and normally at night time the temperatures would expect to fall away and we get some relief. Not tonight, I'm afraid. In fact, those temperatures holding up between 19 to 22, maybe 23 degrees Celsius, which will make it exceptionally difficult and uncomfortable for sleeping. Through much of Thursday, clear skies overhead, the strong summer sunshine gets to work, and through the afternoon, again, a boost to those temperatures across the southeast. We could be seeing highs into the upper 30s, elsewhere closer to the mid-30s, but still it's the humidity, and I cannot stress how hot and how humid it is. As we work towards the end of the week and into the weekend, though, there is an end in sight. If you're not enjoying the heat and humidity, something fresher from the Atlantic begins to push its way in from the west, and that will bring something much cooler. Yes, there's a change in type, so more showery outbreaks of rain and possibly some thundery activity at times too. But into tomorrow, that's where we see the peak of the heat here in Wales, where temperatures could be into the mid to upper 30s. The pollen forecast is next.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
And as for the all-important pollen forecast, well, with those high and very high levels of humidity, there's no surprise that the grass pollen continues through the weekend at high to very high too. Until then, take care.
Well, yes, take care out there all together with this heat. That's all for now. Gwen Ann Campbell is here with your late update, but from all the team here, stay safe. Bye-bye.